I hope you're having a great day. I'm looking so forward to chatting with you today. Our video today is going to be on what vacation is the right one for you. So we're going to be chatting about Disney World and Universal Studios Florida, and I'm going to kind of hopefully help you figure out what will work best for you and your family's needs. So again, if you have any questions, please feel free to comment below, like or subscribe. That helps us out a lot. And like I said, I hope you're having a great day. So I'm going to begin with just the differences between Universal Studios and Walt Disney World. The two places are just so very different that it's not really a which one's better, okay? If you want a Disney World trip, that's a completely different trip than a trip to Universal. So I will start by saying that Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure are far smaller than Disney World. Collectively together, I would say Universal and Islands of Adventure are probably the size of like an Epcot or maybe an Animal Kingdom. They're not as big as the whole shebang. So keep that in mind. It's very walkable. You can walk both of them in a day. You can't see everything in a day. I will come right out and tell you that. But you can see a lot in a day. We were there for 2 days and we came very close to seeing everything. We rode most things 2, 3, 4 times. But that being said, so the size is different. Just the big scope of there's just a difference between the two. Now that does not mean that you have to do a short trip to one and a long trip to the other. You could do a long trip to either. It just depends on your preference, right? So Universal and Islands of Adventure is more of what I would call an amusement park that is superbly themed. Meaning, oh my goodness, the lands look really cool. The theming that you walk into is really neat, but it is an amusement park, meaning fast, intense rides, not necessarily friendly for every age group. So if you have a younger child, this may not be the best option for you. Now, when they become a preteen or a teen or older, it may become a better option than Disney. But that's only something that you can know. Also, you may be a family that the whole family loves intense rides and not so much all about like the learning cultural stuff or a resort, like a slower resort kind of pace thing. That Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios would be more your thing. Lots of roller coasters, a lot of simulator rides, a lot of twisting, turning, bumping. So know that. Okay, you're not going to have It's a Small World. That does not exist. There's no equivalent of that. I think the closest to that would be the Hogwarts Express. Also, in regards to mobility, so the two parks are very different. Universal Studios, again, it's a smaller park. The rides are more intense, so they're not as inclusive. And that's just something that you have to be aware of. You have to be able to transfer out of an electric chair and into a push chair for almost every single ride. There are shows that you can go into that you don't have to transfer, but you have to be able to transfer to enjoy the majority of the experiences. I will say that the theming is beautiful. If you just want to be there to see the theming, like Diagon Alley and Hogsmeade and walking through Jurassic Park, that is worthwhile. But if you want to ride rides, I would just go and say that their ride options for individuals that are in a wheelchair, pending your individual situation, Universal and Islands of Adventure may not be right for you. Doesn't mean you can't go, doesn't mean you can't have fun, just means the rides require you to transfer or have various mobility needs, restrictions, what have you. I do have videos, and I'm working on them all, on the different rides and what the requirements are and what our experiences are. So if you're interested in something like that, again, like, subscribe, or look through my channel and you can find the different rides and I talk about our experiences on them. Now, Disney is huge. Disney is truly a world in its own. The majority of the rides are not intense at all. They're made for more of a family versus like the intense amusement rides. I would think Disney is more of a resort versus an amusement park. And again, a well-themed resort, but a resort nonetheless. Each park is very different from the other. There are roller coasters, but there are not a lot of them. Most of the rides are slower, more about what you see or the message behind the ride, or about the songs that you hear in the ride, or the films that are depicted within the ride. A lot of the rides in like the Magic Kingdom, there are a lot of rides that are very, very conducive to younger children and older adults. The transferring, as far as mobility issues, I will say our experience was that the rides were more conducive to people in wheelchairs. The layouts, particularly of the newer areas, so like Galaxy's Edge, far more just maneuverable. Like you can maneuver things like your chair around, no issues. Transferring, there wasn't a lot of stuff where you had to like step down into pull yourself up. So the actual rides within Disney are just more friendly for people with mobility needs, or people that have, whether it be weakness or just aren't able to get out of a chair. There are more options for you. You don't just have to sit and watch a show or just look at everything from the outside. It is far more inclusive, I will say that. That's not a knock on Universal. It's just they're two completely different places, and the way things are laid out, I'm trying to be kind here. I want to say Universal tries, but it's almost an afterthought, where in many cases, not all cases, mind you, I have stories too about Disney, I just haven't gotten to them yet, but in many cases, it feels like Disney is just more, there was more thought put into how can we make these rides more inclusive, okay? I'm going to use the word inclusive because I feel like that's just the best way to sum it up, where no matter what your concern is, most of their rides don't require you to transfer just to stand in the queue. A lot of the queues are wider, and they're easier to maneuver a wheelchair around. So just something for you to know. As far as the experience on a whole, you can do either park in a chair. Just know that, again, Universal, more intense rides, not a lot for the little ones. And pending what your senior relatives, or if you're a senior yourself, what you're interested in, Universal might not be the place for you. You're more than welcome. But again, lots of intense rides, lots of restrictions on the rides, like health-related restrictions. So just be mindful of what those are before you go and book a trip. And as long as you're aware and you're prepared and you're honest with yourself, then you'll have a great time. The worry for my family was we were not prepared for us to have medical issues when we were on vacation, and so some of the things did catch us off guard, and I'd hate for that to happen to someone else. Disney, again, at least the newer areas, and I will say Epcot as well, it was set up very well for a chair, and the rides, again, are not intense in the least bit. Your most intense rides, you'll find Everest, which is in Animal Kingdom, Tower of Terror, which is in Hollywood Studios, along with Rock and Roller Coaster. There is, oh my gosh, I'll call it, I don't know, a space, what is it, the space, Mission Space, there we go. And that's just a spinny ride, but if you don't deal well with spinny, that's intense. And then at Magic Kingdom, it's really just Space Mountain, which is just really super bumpy. and everything else, nothing's really that intense. So it is more friendly for the whole family, shall we say. So again, if you have any questions, please comment below and I will do my best to help you out. If you need pictures, layouts of parks, what made one park a little more accessible than the other. But in the end, when you're planning a vacation, you just need to choose what's right for you and you'll have a great time at either place. I mean, for as many issues as we had during our trip, I will say that we had fun and we would go back to, well, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that we can save the money and go back again soon. And now with a little bit more knowledge and a little more prepared, we can experience things and get a second opinion on stuff. So I hope you have a great night and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.